at the top of the hour right now, so let's just get it started. I'll play a quick presentation, and then we will move into the investors' introductions, and then we will have the businesses presenting afterwards. Let me share the screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it's starting. Yep.
Wonderful. All right, cool. All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Mustafa. I'm a part of the investor relations team at Think Capital Network. Whether you're joining us as investor, founder, advisor, or ecosystem partner, we're glad that you're here. Today's session is an opportunity to connect great businesses with the right investors. But before we begin, I'd like to spend a few minutes introducing who we are and how Think Capital supports the startups ecosystem. What we do, Think Capital has been helping startups and investors connect for funding for nearly 15 years. We started at the Texas Entrepreneurs Network before expanding across the U.S. and internationally. During that time, we've worked with thousands of founders and investors, helping companies navigate the fundraising process from preparation all the way through investor engagement and closing. What makes us different is that we don't simply introduce companies to investors. We help founders prepare for fundraising, refine their strategy, improve their messaging, organize investor outreach, host pitch events, podcasts, webinars, and manage much of the follow-ups that comes after those first meetings. To date, companies we supported has raised more than $900 million. Our goal is simple. We do the legwork so founders can stay focused on building their businesses while investors spend time reviewing better prepared opportunities. Our work doesn't stop with the startups. We also spend a great deal of time supporting investors and helping strengthen the early stage investments ecosystem. We help venture capital funds connect with limited partners, assist angel groups with attracting new members, and work with high net worth individuals who are interested in building family offices and becoming more active investors. Over the years, we've partnered with dozens of angel networks, investment organizations, and venture funds across North America. Those relationships allow us to build a highly curated network where founders and investors can meet efficiently rather than through our cold outreach alone. Behind all of this is a small but experienced team. Hall Martin, our founder and CEO, has spent many years working directly with entrepreneurs, investors, and innovation ecosystems. The rest of our team focuses on operation, client success, events, investor engagement, special projects, and media. My role is focused on investor relations and strategic partnership, particularly expanding our relationships across new markets and helping connect international founders and with investors who are the right fit. One area that become a major focus for us over the past year is Middle East and North Africa. As Hall often says, before launching our work in the region, we spend considerable time speaking with investors across MENA to better understand their investment thesis, sectors of interest, and how the U.S. and international startups and businesses could successfully enter those markets. Today, we're building bridges between the U.S. and MENA ecosystem through investors' introductions, virtual pitch sessions, educational programs, and partnerships with accelerators, venture funds, universities, and innovation organizations throughout the region. If you are interested in following our work beyond today's event, I also encourage you to subscribe to the Think Capital Substack, where Hall regularly shares insights on fundraising, venture investing, and trends we're seeing across the startup ecosystem. Thank you again for joining us today. With that, let's get it started with today's presentation. So let me stop sharing my screen. We do have a lot of investors today. Let me just allow everybody to be in.
All right.
Cool. So Before we start the presentation, just quick, if you have your camera on from the investor side, that means probably you are interested in jumping and asking questions and introducing yourself. So I'm going to go through the room and then allow me to ask you to jump in, introduce yourself if you have your camera on, if that's okay. Dr. Mohammed, would you mind saying a few words about who you are, what do you do?
Well, thank you, Mustafa. Good afternoon, everyone. Mohammed Quadri. I'm a physician funder, founder, been in the industry for almost 30 plus years. I invest in companies that meet unmet clinical needs in real time, rapidly and accurately. I do see some familiar faces, including Angie X. We have been in discussions as well. So nice to see you, Paul. We are a $100 million healthcare fund that invests in workforce empowerment, patient empowerment, fintech, cybersecurity, all under the umbrella of health tech, med tech, digital wellness, aspects of biotech, aspects of life sciences. We love bridge rounds between seed and Series A, and looking forward to hearing from you all. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Um, Camille, would you mind introducing yourself, who you are, what do you do?
Was that Camille?
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
no problem whatsoever. Hi everyone, very happy to be here. My name's Camille. I'm based here in Austin, Texas, originally from London. I'm on the fundraising team at Dealmaker. We've raised around 2.7 billion now for founders. Essentially, our dream and our long-term vision is we want every American to walk into a store, scan their favorite product, and become investors and owners in that product. We specialize in Series A to IPO. We do healthcare, sports, consumer, B2B. Some raises you may be familiar with. We raised 90 million for EnergyX. They're a lithium extraction company here in Texas. Green Bay Packers, we raised them 65 million. So a whole host of different companies, but excited to learn more about the pitches today.
Thank you for joining. Dana?
Yeah, hi, I'm Dana Wichterman. I live just outside of the DC area. I myself am impact investor and have involved in two different angel groups, one called Keystone Investing, which is regional to the DC area, and then Keiretsu, which you may all be familiar with. I was formerly part of their group. And I also work for Impact Foundation, which is a donor advised fund that helps people put their charitable capital towards investing in for-profit companies that are having a positive impact in the world. So that's another role I can play to help founders look for funding. Investors can also use their charitable capital as the IRS allows.
Thank you for that. Jasper?
Hello, everybody. My name is Jasper Cannon. I work with three venture funds. One focuses on healthcare technology, investing at seed stage, funding and accelerating. One focuses on CPG and marketplaces, pre-seed to kind of Series B. And then one focuses on mostly AI companies, focusing at like the pre-seed and seed stage. I also have my own firm. We work with startups. About half of what we do is healthcare and life sciences. And then we also work with fintech, AI, and CPG primarily. And we help them grow by expanding both domestically and into international markets. Pretty global. Can't help you if you're trying to go into Antarctica or Africa. So sorry. And then we help them get ready for funding. So everything from creating deal room, creating, refining the pitch deck, and then red teaming the pitch, bringing in generalists and specialists to, essentially take pool noodles and whack them over the head and make sure they're ready to talk to any investor, because you never know where your next check's going to come from. And that's me.
Wonderful. Thank you. So that's it. That's very much everybody who has their camera on. So let's just get it started. So we have on the left, Angex. You're good to go. You have the 10 minutes presentation and then 10 minutes Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Mustafa. So I have a very exciting company, very exciting drug to tell you about. AngieX is the fruit of 24 years of biology research and 12 years of drug development. Our drug is an antibody drug conjugate. So on the right there, you see the antibody in blue, the conjugated drug in yellow. The antibody provides targeting for the drug. So it's an IV infused drug into the arm. The antibody searches through the body and it finds all the tumor cells capable of invasion and metastasis. And it also finds the tumor blood vessels. And it delivers that payload inside those cells. And our lead drug uses a cytotoxic payload that can kill those cells. So we can attack two parts of the tumor vessels and the tumor cells. And the biology is such that it's only active in tumors and in migrating, invading, metastasizing tumor cells. So we have the potential to have a big impact on cancer mortality by stopping invasion, killing invasive and metastatic tumor cells, and eliminating tumor growth by eliminating the blood supply to tumors. Um, and this slide illustrates preclinical data of the vascular targeting. So we can eliminate the blood vessels in the tumor, but also the large vessels that feed and drain the tumor. And that leads to a mass necrosis in the central part of the tumor. And then we can also kill invasive and metastatic tumor cells. And all dangerous cancers have some invasive and metastatic tumor cells, so our target is present in every dangerous cancer. And it's normally present at very high levels, often higher than any other oncology target. And so we have great potential to get tumor cell killing across just about every solid cancer patient. This is an illustration of some of our clinical data at relatively low doses. So at these low doses, we're only eliminating the tumor blood vessels. We're not penetrating deeper into tissue and reaching the tumor cells. So what happens is we eliminate all the blood vessels within this original tumor. This top row is baseline scans. You can see very bright glucose uptake. This is the liver, which is the brightest normal organ in the chest. And you can see the tumor takes up a lot of glucose. But once we eliminate all the blood vessels of the tumor, that whole volume goes dark. But at these doses that are too low, there's surviving tumor cells and they migrate out to form the shell. They find the blood vessels that we don't touch and they start getting their blood supply from those. So we form this tumor shell. And so that just illustrates this, this is a universal mechanism, this vascular killing. It happens in every tumor. And you can just imagine as we go to higher doses that are the right doses and we reach these tumor cells and kill them, then we'll have a very good outcome for the patients. So we've actually dosed some patients at those optimal doses where we think we kill the vast majority of the tumor cells. But unfortunately, we weren't using PET imaging at the time. And so what we saw was this is an example of what we saw. This dose was double the previous dose, and we think we killed most of the tumor cells, and we caused a necrosis, mass necrosis within the tumor. And what we see are changes in the tumor on CT and no effects off tumor. This patient, only two adverse events, and those are caused by the death of the tumor. Gives a transient, if it's a liver tumor, transient nausea, constipation. But we found that people didn't know how to interpret that. We've also done one combination patient with pembrolizumab, which is Keytruda. And this is a patient who has a non-responsive tumor pattern, very low tumor mutation burden, low PD-L1. And we believe the patient previously had Keytruda in combination with chemotherapy, and it didn't work. But what we see, because of the vascular injury, we activate the immune system against the tumor, and in combination with Keytruda, that leads to good outcomes. So what we saw is just after two doses, every tumor had a substantial loss of glucose uptake and shrank in size. A lot of ways we can attack the cancer, and this is our safety signal. So we completed the first pass through our dose escalation, only for concerning adverse events, and you can see them in red and yellow. And we think we can dose up to these blue lines with potentially no adverse effects. And this area in here may kill over 90% of the tumor cells with each dose. And we've had some evidence, early signs of survival benefit. So we dosed our first patient 24 months ago. This is a patient with the longest survival. He first enrolled 21 months ago, so 3 months into the study. And he had stable disease through 9 cycles of treatment. And no adverse events through the first 7 cycles. He's still alive today, 21 months after starting, which is very good for metastatic pancreatic cancer. And we've seen other signs of survival benefit in the higher dose patients. So we think by the end of this year, we'll have a very mature data set. We'll have figured out the recommended phase 2 dose. And we'll have strong evidence from the PET imaging and from circulating tumor DNA that we kill a lot of tumor cells. And that will enable us to go into phase 2 expansions and then a registrational trial and reach approval in 2029. So the financing strategy is in parallel. We think this data set will permit an IPO before the end of 2027. And there's a lot of upside for the company. So the company's valued currently between $50 and $100 million. And after proof of concept, which we expect to have in a year, other ADC companies have been valued in the single-digit billions. After approval, which we expect in 3 years, they've been valued north of $10 billion. So that's 10x in 1 year, 100x in 3 years. And if we really do address all solid cancers, potentially 1,000x in 5 to 7 years. We've got a world-class team. We can go through them separately, but top-tier leaders at every position. And just in conclusion, a little about the raise. We have an open convertible note, $10 million authorized amount. We've raised $2 million into it so far in rolling closings. The note terms, 20% discount, 10% interest rate, $100 million cap. But we're in discussions to switch to equity with potential lead investors. And it looks like the equity round may come in 50 to 70 million valuation. So the note is an attractive instrument. And here, this is a picture of my mother. I keep her picture next to my computer monitor to remind me to work hard. And she died of cancer at age 33 when I was 10. Life treated her unfairly. A lot of other cancer patients are being treated unfairly. But we have a way to help them. And we just need investors to join us and help us. And jointly we can reap the fruits of saving a lot of lives. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Time for Q&A.
Yeah.
Just unmute yourself, ask questions directly. Unless you want me to call names.
Paul, I'll start. Paul, great presentation. Thank you. And very worthy goal that you have. So thank you for laboring in that space. I thought you were strong on giving the terms at the end and what you're looking for and your team, but I think you could do a little structured a little more clearly about where you are in the drug testing phase. I mean, you told us what you're testing, but I didn't know where it went in approval. I don't know how hard you hit on the that you got. The FDA is such a difficult road, and some of your investors are going to want to know those different points. And when is it rapid approval? When is it slow? What are you expecting? That kind of thing.
So there is a fair amount of work still to do. So this is This slide describes what we intend to accomplish with the $10 million. So that would be by the end of this year. We'll figure out the optimal dose, this RP2D's recommended phase 2 dose, and, all the methods of clinical management. How do you assess efficacy? How do you know when to stop treatment and so on? And then, by the end of the year, we'll have dosed 12 patients at that recommended phase 2 dose. And so we'll have whatever statistics you can get out of 12 patients. But so far, we've been seeing universal efficacy. Every tumor responds the same. And our patients typically have 5 to 10 tumors each. They're all advanced metastatic disease. So 12 patients could be 60 tumors, lots of different locations, different cancers of origin. And if they all respond the same, that should be pretty impressive. And then, if so I gave you that safety slide, here when we did the first pass, we were dosing patients by actual body weight. And what we found is that that led to overdosing the obese. So all the patients who had these severe adverse events were obese. They also had other diseases, diabetes, and in 2 cases, hypertension. And so to mitigate the risk, we have switched to ideal body weight dosing. And we think that will enable us to get to efficacious doses and maybe all but the most obese patients and potentially do quite well. Um, so that's the early part of drug development, kind of the phase 1 portion. And then, oops, I'm sorry. And then if I go back to this timeline, this phase 2, it's really just a continuation of the phase 1, but getting better statistics. So we'll have expansions in individual cancers, like the cancers that we're targeting. So I don't have the lead indications here, but angiosarcoma, pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, lung cancer, glioblastoma are top indications, also stomach, ovarian. So we'll be gathering more statistics. That's mainly for the benefit of investors and the FDA. It's if the original data set is not persuasive enough, they need more statistics. We're gathering more. But in parallel, we're talking to the FDA to design the registrational trial. And so the assumption here is that after 6 months, we've agreed with them on the design. And then this is the registrational trial, about 18 months in length, and then 6 months for them to review the submission and provide approval.
Okay, super. And then you go into commercial sales. And tell me, when did you say IPO is a possibility?
Yeah, late 2027. So once we have this, we've determined the phase 2 dose and we have enough statistics at that phase 2 dose to be able to make a credible case that the drug is going to be approved and that will capture a lot of revenue, then that will support a crossover financing and then an IPO. So this IPO timeline, this is probably the earliest we can do it, but and it's contingent on clinical data, market conditions, what makes sense overall. But I think we're likely to have data that will support an IPO next year.
Thank you. I'll let others ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Dana. Yeah. Please unmute yourself and just ask questions directly. Jasper, if you want to ask questions.
Yeah, sorry. I want to make sure I'm understanding. IPO before rollout?
Yeah, so that's pretty normal in biotech, and it does depend on market conditions. So in 2021, when there was a very hot market, there were a lot of companies that IPO'd preclinically even before they had clinical data. But normally, the major value inflection in this industry is at proof of concept. So usually, there's a point where you've figured out the optimal dosing and you have enough statistics to show that, your drug is going to be approved. So, people should know by the second quarter of 2027 that our drug is going to be approved and it's going to be a blockbuster drug. there's just a lot of other requirements that you have to meet for approval. Like you have to prove that you can produce 3 to 4 independent manufacturing batches that all have the same characteristics. And those batches can cost $15 million each. So you don't, produce that quantity of drug and spend that amount of money until you have a low cost of capital, high valuation. And to get that, you need to, prove that your drug is working. So, um, it's just this is a pretty rapid timeline to approval. It's hard to shave time off this 3 years from here to approval.
Okay. I mean, the question I always ask people that are doing life sciences things, whether they be doing med device or they're doing pharmaceutical, like, drug candidates, is what business do you want to be in? Do you want to be in the I make this business for the next 5, 10 plus years, or do you want to be in the I sell this business in 3 years and retire on an island?
Yeah, I want to be I want to be in the business for 5 to 10 years for multiple reasons.
Okay.
I'm a shareholder. A lot of my friends and family are shareholders. I like all of our investors. We're a qualified small business stock. I like to give, people the chance to hold
Mhm.
for the 5-year holding period and get the full benefit.
Okay.
Also, I showed you the comparables, and I think the market, it really does, tend to value companies by stage. It doesn't, tend to project how much, your sales are ultimately going to be. So I think to get the full value of the company, it won't come until at least 2 years after approval. Because you need approvals in multiple indications, which takes time, and then, investors need to see the rate of commercial uptake in order to project revenue. So I think we're 5 to 7 years away from, a really, something that approaches full value of the company. And it's 5 years for investors who come in now to get the full benefit of the qualified small business stock status. So I don't want to flip the company. And then on the patient side, I think we're the best stewards of both this drug and the pipeline drug opportunity. So I didn't speak about it, but our antibodies constitute a delivery platform. We can address not only oncology, but ophthalmology, cardiovascular disease, inflammation, immunology. And those are large markets. And big pharma companies have not historically been good at drug development, and we think we are. So I would like to have that opportunity, and I wouldn't want to work in a big pharma company.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
All right. So that's any more questions? Cool. Let's just move on to the next presentation. I think I have on the list Aether Therapeutics. Yeah. You're good to go.
I'm good. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to present Aether Therapeutics. So at Aether, our mission is to solve this opioid crisis that is really a big challenge, and you all know that. The picture here of this young lady at the bottom is the daughter of one of our co-founders. So for us, it's not just building a successful biotech company, but it's really bringing a solution to these patients and families, and it's very personal to us. So what we're doing is we are developing a novel and pragmatic solution. This novel solution is a novel addiction modulator, and it's a pragmatic solution because we are not replacing the opioids. The opioids are the most efficacious treatment for pain. So what we are doing is we are combining an opioid with our compound. So we'll be able to provide opioid level efficacy, but suppress all of the dependency and also suppress really the nasty side effect of the opioids. And this is where we think it's a very pragmatic approach. And we'll be able to go into pain and addiction markets. So the investment thesis is pretty simple. We are targeting very large market. The pain market, in particular, the chronic pain market, is 40 billion plus. And there's also today a renewed interest from both pharma and FDA to really get new non-addictive pain assets on the market. We have a very capital efficient plan. We are raising 10 million to get to this inflection point after 2 clinical trials. So this will give us proof of concept. And we are going to have a very lean team. So really focusing this capital on the clinical trials. The asset is actually unique. We are the only one in development to be targeting the molecular cause of dependence. And again, the only one to be able to offer opioid equivalent analgesia, but without the risk of addiction. And this is really the holy grail. We are building an extensive IP portfolio, so we will have all our discoveries protected. We have ample evidence so far. We have demonstrated safety in a small human trial with a former formulation. We also have a very clean tox package in 2 animal species, and we have strong efficacy evidence in multiple predictive preclinical models. So we are ready to go into the clinical trials. The team is made of very seasoned people. We are a team of drug developers, of people who have built biotech companies, have sold biotech companies. Bruce Inbert, who is on the call, our chief medical officer, has spent decades developing and getting approval for drugs in addiction. Our CEO, Aaron Schuhart, have been in industry for more than 30 years in transaction in C-level position at 2 public companies. And myself, I'm a CEO of the company. I have more than 25 years in operation, finance, and business development. So we had the team and the lean team to be able to execute on our plan. So we have what we call a pipeline in a product because we can go after multiple indications with just one asset. As a small company, we're going to focus on 2 indications. The first one is the largest indication, the pain market, but especially the moderate severe chronic pain market. Again, we are going to co-formulate the opioid with our compound. So the product is going to be a single tablet, and that will provide an opioid equivalent efficacy, but again, without the addiction rates. The second indication, it's a pediatric orphan indication. It's the neonate withdrawal syndromes. Unfortunately, there are almost 30,000 babies who are born in the US with opioid addiction. There are no FDA drug approved. So what they do is they go to the NICU and they wean out their opioids for weeks. So our goal is to reduce significantly this weaning period. And this indication has a potential for eligibility to a priority review voucher, which is valued to the 200 million. So how do we differentiate compared to other approaches? So as you probably know, the opioids, again, that's the standard of care. They are the best in terms of efficacy for the most severe pain. But of course, it comes with all the side effects and all the challenges that you're aware of. Now, the novel non-opioid targets that a lot of pharma are going after, they all compromise some level of efficacy to get to a very clean safety profile. So what we are doing, and we think it's a pragmatic approach, is take the efficacy of the opioids but solve the safety profile. And that we can do that with our mechanism of action. And we are, again, the only one to be able to do that. So in terms of mechanism of action, very quickly, it's not a scientific presentation, but when there's no opioid treatment, the mu opioid receptor is at what we call a resting state. So think about the car here that is completely at a stop. Then patients take opioid. As they take more and more opioid, this receptor gets activated. And when it gets activated, the good aspect of it is that it provides analgesia, so good control on pain. But it also goes with all the side effects, in particular on dependence. So you have this car that is really at full speed. So how can we stop it? So we can stop it, but not brutally. We are adding our compound, which binds to exactly the same receptor. But again, instead of stopping this car suddenly, it reverses it back gradually to the resting state so that it maintains the benefits of the analgesia, but it really addresses all of the side effects. And again, in particular, the dependence and the drug-seeking behavior. So again, we are developing a safe opioid, and we think that's the most pragmatic approach for this market. In terms of development plan, so we are going to do 2 clinical trials. The first one is going to be phase 1 single ascending dose in healthy volunteers. It's just to get safety for this oral formulation as well as the PK. And then we go into the most important trial, which is the proof of concept in patients who are taking opioids for chronic pain. It's going to be a 4-week study. We are going to enroll 46 patients. And we want to show reduction, clinically significant reduction in dependent symptoms while preserving analgesia and also confirming that there is no precipitated withdrawal. We really think that with this proof of concept, this is going to be a significant inflection point. We are going to Australia to do that because, as you know, it's faster to get those trials up and running. The FDA accepts any data that is generated in Australia. And then we have this nice cash refund. So we can stay within this 10 million budget and stay very lean and capital efficient. So we are going to do these 2 trials, and we really think that we will have the proof of concept data to support an early exit. If that's not the case, if we cannot exit, we don't want to exit based on the valuation the gate, then it's not an endless dilution. We think we can raise a 35, 40 million equity and then go probably into this orphan indication and go into a registration study right away. So that by the end of this registration trial, we could definitely get an exit. So again, we're really targeting quick and early exit and selling to big pharma. In terms of valuation, our pre-money note is at 13.3 million. So you can see it's a very modest valuation. If we look at some recent comparable deals, the acquisition of Sightwine by Lilly, of the Series B from Latigo, you can see that we can conservatively target a 10x return on this investment just based on these 2 data points. So in conclusion, it's a very de-risk investment opportunity. We are raising the 10 million convertible note, again, 13.3 million pre-money, 25% conversion discount. We have already 6.4 million committed. We have a lead at 4.5. We have almost 2 million committed. So we are very close to closing the first close by the end of August. And then we're at 7 million, and then we'll do a rolling close to get to the 10 million that we need to do this 2 trials. Thank you.
All right, so let's just move to the Q&A. If you would like to ask questions, please unmute yourself and just jump in.
I'm
Dana, do you
happy,
have-
I'm happy
Yeah,
to
go
jump in here.
Yep.
Amazing presentation, solving a huge issue. I'm also extremely passionate about this. One of my questions is, how are you going to build trust, given like the skepticism surrounding opioids, with like physicians, patients, and what does that look like in this process?
Well, it's going to be, first of all, the data we need to show, and this is the purpose of this raise, is to show that we can clinically significant reduce the dependence. So really being able to provide this safe opioid. When you talk to physicians, they completely acknowledge that opioids, it's the standard of care. That's what they know. And also that's the best pain treatment, particularly for severe pain. So they all agree that unfortunately today, because what we know about opioids, they cannot prescribe anything else to their patients who are in extreme pain, in particular in the chronic setting. And if you look at these novel, targets, the Jonavax that has been approved from Vertex, from an efficacy standpoint, first of all, they failed the chronic indication, so it's not only for acute. And their efficacy is modest. They have not done very well in the marketplace. Latigo, which I mentioned earlier, their Series B, they're actually filing for an IPO. We looked into their phase 2. it's looking really good, definitely better than Jonavax. But again, first of all, it's in acute setting. We really don't know what they are going to do in the chronic setting. So again, right now we think that these they will have a place in the marketplace for the, I would say, mild to moderate pain. But as you go more severe into the pain treatment, again, the opioids are unbeatable. And so we are trying again to be pragmatic and say we have the mechanism of action to be able, with this discovery from our CSO, to be able to develop this safe solution and this safe opioid. But I hear you. I think we have a lot of work and a lot of data to generate to show that.
Great. Who's else? Dana, Jasper, Josh, anybody?
Yeah, so I guess one of these, like, my understanding is that there's, and again, I defer to the doctor on this call. My understanding of pain is that there's a lot of factors that are at play, which is why it's kind of such a tricky thing to do. And pain medication is more or less a sledgehammer to a nail problem. So I guess, how do you know that the lever you're trying to push here is going to produce kind of enough results? And also, like, walk me through kind of the reimbursement aspects of this, because right now, if you go into a hospital, there is a cost for Tylenol, there's a cost for morphine.
Sure. So I'll let Bruce maybe address we're using clinically validated tools to assess dependence and pain, etc. I'll let Bruce give you more details. Go ahead.
Thanks, Lawrence. So this is a very good question, and I understand what you mean. So that's the reason why. So we have conducted those non-clinical studies that shows that the product is going to be efficacious in humans. What we are trying to do, just let me clarify this, is not. So opioids, the biggest problem with opioids is that people become dependent to opioids. But other than that, I would say opioids are really one of a kind type of medication for chronic pain or patients who are dealing with pain for extended period of time, let's say more than 3 months. So what we are trying to do is not to replace the opioid. We are trying to build something as an add-on to the opioid. And that molecule that we are developing, ATX-1209, is something that will remove any risk of dependence. So this has been proven in the animal model. And so we expect to prove that in the proof of concept that we are going to conduct. And you may worry that 28 days is not sufficient to show that difference in patients. But I would say we expect to see the difference even faster than 28 days. So 28 days, the reason why we are doing 28 days because our tox package is just 28 days, so we cannot do longer period of treatment. But we expect to see results within the first week, with signs that patient will have less interdose withdrawal symptoms. And interdose withdrawal symptoms, they are the phenotype of physical dependence in patients who are on stable or prescribed opioid therapy. So this is a good marker of dependence. And as Lawrence was mentioning, we're going to use a validated approach with clinical scales that have been proven effective and with good results previously, both in the addiction space but also in the pain space.
So I guess one of the things is, like, pain medication. And I used to work with the transplant department. I've seen people on, like, massive amounts of pain medication. So I'm very familiar with this space. Pain medication, like, there's all these loads of side effects, right? Dependency, as you've clearly mentioned, lack of gut mobility, and needing increasing for others. So I guess one of the questions I'm having is what's the secret thing here about the mechanism of action that makes this different from, say a morphine, say a hydrocodone, or one of these other kinds of current standard of care treatments? I'm just I'm not doubt. I'm like, how is it different in having these different effects while still apparently giving
Yeah.
energy?
That's an excellent question. To be honest, that's the first question I asked to my chief scientific officer when I joined the company. He's the guy who developed the molecule. So, and the thing is just because we are not an antagonist, we are not an agonist. So, with opioid agonists like oxycodone, for example, or morphine or methadone, you have so you deliver analgesia to the patient, but you also have dependence and withdrawal symptoms that happens. Here, we are not an antagonist, we are not an agonist, and we are a neutral modulator. So basically, because we are at very low doses, we are not antagonizing the more mu receptor, so the receptor is responsible for all the positive, but also all the bad things. So I'd say that's something that needs to be validated in humans because naltrexone, we are a metabolite of naltrexone, and naltrexone is a full antagonist of the opioid receptor. So here we are going to modulate the receptor, and with that modulation, we expect to be able to solve first dependence, but also hyperalgesia, drug seeking, and all the things that goes with the activation of the mu receptor. So it's more about the modulation of that receptor and I'd say the gradual reversion of the dependent signal while we will be able to preserve analgesia. But it's something that needs, as I said, to be confirmed. And that's why we are going to have to do that proof of concept. And if successful, and if we can demonstrate that we can safely administer opioids with the addition of ATX-1209, this could be a tremendous life-changing event for patients. The goal also of the molecule ATX-1209 is not to keep patients with their opioid therapy. The goal is to help them to wean off their opioid therapy. So because the dependence and hyperalgesia are going to be affected, the objective is to help patients stop their opioid medication. So it's both a way to reduce dependence on patients who cannot stop, but also to help them wean off their medication if they want to do so. And most of the time they cannot because hyperalgesia builds when you are taking opioids for months, and then patients cannot discontinue or withdrawal happens and they are not able psychologically and physically to stop them.
Thank you, Pras, for that. So I think we will end up with that because we're running out of time.
That's a very good question. Thank you.
Science Corner.
Yeah, we can continue offline for sure. Yeah, we were happy to make an introductions as we always do. The last presentation then is going to be Clausura Diagnostics.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you very much. My name's Oliver Baith. I'm founder and CEO of Qualisure Diagnostics. And Qualisure is a precision oncology company based out of Calgary, Canada. We have a very significant tech stack consisting of diagnostic tests, but also a commercial platform. And importantly, we've been able to get this far with less than $2 million, including our capability to reach different countries. So before there was a Qualisure Diagnostics, I was a cancer surgeon for over 25 years. And the one problem that I encountered over and over again is that we would give these brutally toxic treatments to people who were already sick from their cancer. And the fact of the matter is that in the majority of instances, we're not even sure whether those patients are going to benefit. And so what we need is diagnostic tests to help to guide clinical care. The other problem is how to develop those tests in a very efficient fashion. And what we do differently is, first of all, we focus on gene expression because the pattern of gene expression in a cancer tells you what its underlying biology is. And that ultimately tells you what kind of treatments it's going to benefit that patient, but also what the person's long-term outlook looks like. So, focusing on that, we have a highly efficient machine learning approach that helps us to devise these kinds of tests. But the third element or the third bottleneck is really the clinical deployment piece. Like how do we deploy this and deliver this to the rest of the world? What typically happens with a diagnostic company is that there's a central lab that's built. And so if, for example, you devised a test here in North America, delivering it to Asia would be very difficult because patients essentially have to send their samples to these central labs. And so we've developed a decentralized business model to help to address that. So on the test development part of things, we have already introduced our first diagnostic product. We call it Thyroid Guide PX. We've focused on that because there's a really large unmet clinical need. Essentially, this is a non-life-threatening cancer, yet we treat it just like any other cancer in a very aggressive fashion by removal of the whole thyroid gland, often all of the lymph nodes, and giving radioactive iodine, which has very significant impact on patients' quality of life. So, what this test does is it helps to discern whether a cancer is an aggressive cancer or a slow-growing cancer so that you can tailor that treatment much more effectively. We've actually had quite a bit of traction so far with that. We have a paid pilot at the University of Toronto. We are about to start a pilot at MD Anderson. We have grant supported trials in the University of Calgary and University of Alberta, and we have important collaborations with the NIH, with Sloan Kettering, and with the National University of Seoul. What's also different is that we've been able to deploy this in an international fashion. We have a partner lab in Florida, another one in Calgary, Canada, and another in Singapore. So essentially, we've been able to bring this product to the global marketplace without having to build our own lab. And why have we been able to do that? We've been able to do that because of our cloud-based engine. And this is actually probably one of our most exciting developments. Molecular Decoder, what it does is it enables the testing to be done anywhere in the world on a next generation sequencer. The gene expression data is simply uploaded to the cloud where it accesses the AI algorithms that are diagnostic. So this could house innumerable tests, not just our own tests. But then the test reports or the data is analyzed automatically and very securely. And then the test report is delivered back to the lab wherever the testing has been done. So this is super exciting because this now represents a platform for other diagnostic companies. And essentially, what we're doing now is we've productized Molecular Decoder, and we have started engaging with other diagnostic companies. Ultimately, this will represent a centralized hub for precision oncology testing that helps to disseminate all of these new technologies on a global basis. It essentially becomes a central marketplace. So just as proof of concept, of course, I've told you about our connections with a US lab, a Canadian lab, and a Singapore lab, and we're reaching out to other countries as well as we go. So we've been able to do all of this with less than $2 million. We expect to continue to be capital efficient, mostly because we are essentially a B2B business. We partner with labs and with distributors. We don't require a large sales force. The connection to other diagnostic companies represents a SaaS model. And then, of course, the relationship with physicians and patients is mediated by the partner labs and the distributors. Essentially, what's happened to us is we started out as a single test company, but we've evolved very quickly and very efficiently to become a platform company. And our next iteration, we now have a partnership with a major AI institution in Canada called Amy, and this will essentially help us go up the next level and become an infrastructure company for molecular testing. So early revenue is really related to a few diagnostic tests, but we're now starting, we have line of sight to some sales of our Molecular Decoder platform. And I think as time goes on, the vast majority of our revenue will be related to the platform and to the infrastructure play. And what I expect is that by 2030, we should be able to achieve an annual revenue of $58 million. But these are enterprise relationships, so you can imagine that it's really not very difficult to go up past that and get a much larger revenue goal over time. This is our team. Cynthia is my co-founder. She's a bioinformatics and machine learning expert. Dave is a cybersecurity cloud computing guy. And Dave Levison has a lot of experience in diagnostics and has been an entrepreneur in the space for about 30 years. We're right now raising $7 million, and there is an opportunity for early investors to get in on a convertible note, but the goal really is to make this ultimately end in a priced round. This is really going to enable us to evolve into that infrastructure play that I described. We are already selling the product, a single product. We have a pipeline of diagnostic tests. We have a platform, but now we want to become infrastructure. And so essentially we are at an inflection point, and this investment would really accelerate us. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to any questions.
Thank you for that. Yeah, time for Q&A. All right, just unmute yourself. Maybe say pride. You want to say something?
Yeah.
Say something. Yeah.
I've got one. So it seems like you've already got a good commercialization aspect built out, right? You've got all these partnerships, you got some revenue incoming. Why, I guess, why not continue down that road, which you seem to be pretty decent at, and raise money?
Not without some pain, I have to tell you. So really, strategically, because we've had restricted access to capital, we've been focusing mostly on the technology development, the evidence development, the relationship with the KOLs. But ultimately, to really get some traction in terms of sales, we need to build out our team, and we need to, of course, continue to develop the technology. So this really essentially enables us to scale those sales. What I've discovered through this journey is it's one thing to build things and build evidence, but really there are significant costs when it comes to creating adoption.
Now, are you trying to, I don't want to monopolize the questions again, but are you trying to have this where you're mainly focusing in on selling to labs or hospitals, or where I guess is the target for you? Are you looking at particularly specialty clinics?
Yeah, so I think a product like Thyroid Guide PX, for example, is a very niche tool. And actually, that's the other reason that we focused on it in the beginning, is because it's a very defined marketplace and helped us to learn exactly what it takes to create adoption. So in that sense, the physicians are the gatekeeper, and the patients are often drivers of the technology uptake, and insurers, of course, have to pay for it. But that's a long haul, to be honest, bringing a diagnostic to the clinic and creating adoption. What is much faster is the platform play, and because that's more of a B2B sort of relationship, where your initial sales are to other diagnostic companies that are where we were 3 or 4 years ago. But then also there are relationships with pharma where we can utilize our approach to biomarker discovery and enable them to discover and then deploy their companion biomarkers. So there's actually a number of customer segments as we build this out.
Thank you.
All right, interesting. Who's else? Francisco, you want to say something? Josh, you have questions? No, you good? All right. All right. So with that, I think if we didn't have any more questions, let's just move on to the introduction part. So I'm going to ask each one of the investors who have their camera on, who you'd love to follow up with. I'll start with Jasper.
QualiSure.
QualiSure. All right. Great. Camille, who you would love to connect with?
Lawrence Knorr with the opioid company. Just find the name of it here.
You're saying Lawrence? Okay, so that's Aether Therapeutics.
Correct.
Yeah, that's Ether. There.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Is that else? Josh, who you would like to connect with?
Nobody at this time. Thank you.
All right. That's fine. So, all right, cool. So I'm pretty sure that we will have more introductions by email as well. So before we wrap up, this is a time for the open mic session. Usually, this is something like more informal, just to say a few words about who you are, like in a personal level or professional level, because we've got more folks here in the call that did not participate. So if you want to take the chance just to say something, nothing formal, just maybe something personal, whatever thoughts or ideas you have, whatever you want to share with the others, please take the chance right now. Just unmute yourself and just say something before we wrap up. We've got like a minute or two. Anybody want to take the chance? Should I call some names? I don't know. Guys, are you still here? See Bright, you want to say something? All right, Francisco. All right, cool. All right, so that's it. So I'll be following up with email. I'll send you the recording, do the social postings as well. Just tag everybody here, and then I'll see you on the next event. Thank you so much for joining.